All right, hello everyone. Time for a quick update, as I promised. The winter has been spent not spending a whole lot of time on this project, but what I have done is chasing the noise. That bad noise I got up front seems to do it when I'm going uphill and after the thing has been run for a while and it's gotten hot. Maybe it's something in the fan clutch. I don't know, but haven't found it yet. Did a new power steering pump and steering gear and had the front differential rebuilt. None of those solved the problem, so still looking for that. But I did, when I refinished the cowling, did a bunch of work on noise and sealing it up and heat, and it works real well. Next time I would not do that little middle hood there that I could pop off to check the oil real quick. I just make it a one-piece cowl. That was way too much work to make that seal up correctly, to build it and seal it. Just took a lot of time, and it's not worth it. Got the stereo working, made sure the steering wheel controls work. All that's proper. Sounds horrible because the speakers are just sitting up there for testing, but good sound is coming soon. I don't know if you can see it, I got a piece of plywood cut out for the brow there, a little storage area, and placed them out the visors. I hope to finish that up this spring. I'm gonna jump onto this project now for a little bit, try and make some progress before we start using it for this summer. I think we put about 1,500 miles on it now in the last couple years since the rebuild, and no major issues once I found my electrical problem in the transmission harness that I created using those cold, or kind of those heat shrink solder setups. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just done the old school crimp and then heat shrink over the top of it. That I ended up replacing all those. It was just a bad connection on one of the switches in the transmission. I can't remember which one now, but that caused me a big headache. A lot of money spent trying to find that problem. It was my own dumb fault, which most of the problems on this have been. So here's the electrical distribution. I've got my bus down there. A 12-volt converter because it's a 24-volt system. The solar charger's there. The plug-in 120 volt. Well, it's kind of whatever voltage you want. Plug-in charger there. It also acts as a power supply. So when you plug it in with the 110 volt cord, it'll power everything up. That's DC and the 120 AC stuff. So the fridge will jump to AC if you plug it in, and the batteries will charge. It's the only way I have to charge the batteries at the moment. The buck boost is going to go away. I'm not going to use that. I've discovered that you can put in a 24 volt external regulator in your alternator. I have an auxiliary alternator installed but not wired up yet, so I'll be using that secondary alternator at 24 volts to charge the batteries while the engine's running. All this is functioning well. I don't like that when the temperature gets low, though, you can't, it's like you're stuck. There's no way to heat. I have to fire the engine up to heat it up in here enough to get the batteries warm enough for the battery monitor to start charging the batteries. So I don't know if I need to do a little thermal liquid loop in here from the hydronic system that will just, if you're ever running maybe in winter mode, you put a little bit of heat in there and warm it up. The furnace is, well, it's not really a furnace. It's a liquid to air heat exchanger that blows the hot air out of here when you're running the hydronic as the main heat for the rig for back here. So I could very easily put a little loop in there with a valve that you would shut off in the summertime. So if you're wanting to make hot water and you got the hydronic running, you're not heating up your battery box. It's already probably going to be a bit of an issue trying to keep it cool. So I'm doing my switch panel here. Right now I've just got the lights for in here and a water pump. The water pump works. I've got pressure. So the plumbing, so that goes to the outdoor fixture. And then this is all the 120 volt comfort hot from Rixon's that keeps the rig thawed out all winter. So I didn't winterize it, and this winter, it got plenty below freezing, and just plugged into the 110 outlet set the thermostat to, I think, 50 degrees or so, and then that kept the batteries warm enough to stay charging, and kept all the water lines thawed. Nothing had any issues. That's all working good. So that was a good, successful test. I've got I don't know if you can see, where I've got 3 loops. I'm doing a recirc pump, so we're not wasting hot water when we use it. The fridge is installed and functions. It's been tested, well tested. Again, the water lines, I got to finish all that up. That's under the sink. That's the cutout, going to be the outdoor shower. And then again, 2 holes, so you can either dump your sink onto the ground or into a 5-gallon bucket during the winter. So you're not trying to store your wastewater and keep it thawed. And then under the sink has the same thing. I don't know if you can see, I've got 2 sewer valves under there, so you pick which one you want. Have not tested that yet, but I don't see why it won't work. And then I got just a relatively small holding tank for waste underneath, just gray water, no toilet. What else? Did some upgrades to the steering. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I improved the brackets on the steering idler. Yeah, it was. Can't remember what the problem was, but it wasn't good. I think there was an alignment issue. So I redid all that, and then same thing on the front steering bracket or idler. I beefed that up and took out a bit of slop, and I also had the sprockets aren't perfectly round, so you have to have a little bit of spring and cushion in there to accommodate for the outer round sprocket. Otherwise, you get a tight spot in the steering. So everything's going pretty good. It runs good. It drives good. It's really, really fun to drive. So I'll do a driving video here pretty soon. Right now I'm going to climb underneath. It's been outside all winter, but I'm going to crawl underneath it and try and find that noise that that's been eluding me. I'm going to go through and look at body mounts and welds, look for broken welds. It's weird that it only does it when it gets hot though, so I don't know. Also, I did some work on the shocks, so because they were too long, because I had to put those extended eye and the cone-shaped I don't know, perch bracket, whatever you want to call it, that the spring pushes on, it had to be shaped like that. So I lost 3 inches, or gained 3 inches of shock length by putting that in, so it would clear the drive axle. So my shocks were technically about 3 inches too long, which means getting them out of there to do work on them was a real bugger. And also if my limit straps stretched a little too much or whatever, and that's why I have 2 of them. I really didn't want that to happen. That and the leverage, how close you are to the pivot arm. So I doubled that up, but I wanted to get that shock done proper. So I got shorter springs and sleeved the rod, so that I've limited my stroke. So now getting them in and out of there is easy. I don't have to disconnect the CV axle, and it just saved quite a bit of time. And then also that final stopping point of the shock fully extending will limit if the straps break or stretch, it'll prevent damage to the CV axle. So I had to relocate because Kibitech wanted the caster on this thing. The best you could do, I think, was about 17 degrees, which was just huge. The tires were leaned over so far when you turned. It was horrible, and it did affect the steering. I didn't like it. So we ended up, I don't know if you can tell, but this upper arm is supposed to be on the other side, so that shifted the top of the knuckle or the hub or whatever you want to call it. It shifted it further forward, so it changed the geometry. But that meant that my bump stop was no longer aligned with the top of the hub. So I had to fix that before I broke something. So torched those or ground those things all apart and re-welded them in the right spot. Put a little bit of a spacer because I did weld a bit of a twist in the frame that it wasn't very much. It's only, I think I measured 1/8 of an inch different, but you know, I fought that quite a bit and ended up putting, I think, about a 1-inch spacer. Yeah, you can see it there under the leaf spring on this side, and then re-drilled and attached the anti-sway bar to accommodate it. So now when there's no air in the airbags, the rig sits nice and level with a pretty similar amount of preload on the front springs. So I'm happy with that. I do have a ton of preload on the springs. You can see there's as I recall, I only had to do a few inches of preload to get the ride height where I wanted it. And they're the same spring pressure. It says, I think 500 pounds per inch. But I had to push this one a long ways to get the ride height where I want. I'm like halfway down the shock tube. But I think it's all right. I haven't done a measurement to know if I've got enough space between the coils to accommodate the stroke, but supposedly it'll work. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Thanks. Bye.